You are not going to believe what happened when the internet finally came back on. Seriously, this one moment, it changed everything for an entire nation. I mean, stop and really think about that for a second. What if it all just vanished? No signal, no Wi-Fi, no connection at all. What would you even do? Well, you see, this isn't just some hypothetical question. For one nation, for a full 18 hours, this was their reality. An announcement just dropped out of nowhere and bam, the digital world was just gone. All right, so let's get right into what happened. Just try to imagine the news breaking, a total internet shutdown, and it's happening right now. And we're not talking about a minute or an hour here. We're talking about 18 straight hours. 18 hours of total digital silence. The whole country was about to go dark. So what you're seeing here, this is the last gasp of the internet. It's pure panic. In those final few moments, people were just scrambling, desperately trying to fire off one last message, one final thought into the digital void before it all just, poof, disappeared. And then, just like that, it was over. The connection was cut. Total, complete silence. So what happens next, right? Well, those first few hours were just filled with this weird, desperate hope. Let me explain what I mean. You had people just staring at their blank screens, as if they could somehow will the signal back into existence. You know the feeling, right? You had folks like Rashid rebooting his phone again and again and again, and engineers like Zaid restarting their routers, thinking maybe, just maybe, but nope, it was no use. The internet was gone. So let me ask you, have you ever been forced to disconnect like this? A total shutdown from everything? Drop a comment below and tell me what that felt like. Because for this nation, that initial panic, it slowly began to change into something else, something nobody expected. And this is where the story gets really interesting, because in that silence, something kind of magical started to happen. People started to look up from their screens, and they actually started to see each other. So let's talk about a kid named Ahmed. He's just sitting there, bored, in total silence, when his dad does something that completely catches him off guard. His dad asks him to play chess. Chess! Ahmed had no idea his father even knew how to play. After years of feeling this distance between them, a simple game was about to bring them back together. And it was all because the Wi-Fi was down. Crazy, right? Okay, so then you have this other guy, Junaid. His entire identity, his whole world was online. He was a social media activist. So for him, this digital silence was, well, it was deafening. You can just picture it, right? He opens his Facebook app, sees that blank no connection screen, and just closes it, totally defeated. But then he stumbles across an old diary, and as he starts reading his own forgotten words, a little smile creeps onto his face, and he just whispers to himself, "We really used to dream." He was rediscovering a part of himself that existed long before likes and shares ever did. And this wasn't just happening to individuals. No, entire families were changing. Take Ashraf's family. His kids were normally just glued to their video games, you know how it is. But on this day, they were just sitting there, quiet. And that's when he had this great idea. The plan was simple: no more screens. Instead, a totally spontaneous trip to a park. They played football, you could hear real laughter, the sound of a nearby stream, and that night, for the first time in what felt like forever, the entire family went to bed early. They were exhausted, but they were so happy. And it wasn't just happening inside homes. Out on the streets, an older woman named Razia Begum was just watching all of this happen. The world around her was literally transforming before her eyes. She was seeing neighbors who hadn't spoken in years actually talking to each other. Kids were playing outside again, you could smell tea brewing, and she just said, "It feels like the old days are back." Her grandkids, they were finally present, right there with her. No phone calls, no messages, no endless scrolling. It was just them. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the 18 hours were almost over. This was it, the moment everyone thought they'd been waiting for. The internet was about to come back online. But the reaction? Oh, it was not what anyone saw coming. A single notification. That's all it took.
popping up on screens all over the country. You are online. And just like that, the digital world was back.
But here's the truly wild part. Nobody made a mad dash for their phones. That frantic, almost instinctive urge to check notifications, to scroll, to see what you missed, it just wasn't there. It was gone. The people themselves had changed. The priority wasn't the screen anymore. It was the actual person sitting right there in front of them.
And this right here brings us to the most powerful realization from this entire experience. A huge lesson learned in just 18 hours of silence. What they realized was that life, real life, isn't actually lived online. It's lived in the sound of laughter between two people. It's in the warmth of a shared moment, in all those experiences you have without ever once thinking about recording them. Life runs on connection, not on connectivity. So at the end of the day, losing the internet for 18 hours didn't send them back to the Stone Age. It actually brought them forward to the real age, the age of just living. Hey, if you enjoyed stories like this, you know what to do. Thanks so much for watching.